Okie dokie. Let's see. I can see chat. Okay. Send out a message, going live to talk about gear. It is 5 o'clock here, Pacific Northwest, all up in Seattle. So I decided to move the stream to YouTube, and today I want to practice a couple of techniques, mostly just to get better at the act of streaming. I have been streaming on Facebook, and actually this might be a failed test because I definitely was getting some decent traffic and people were tuning in on the Facebook stream. But I really want to build this channel up and have more content that's just readily available, and I feel like this is the better way to go about things. So what I'm going to do is kind of dilly-dally and chat, that way that if you watch this after the fact, I'm not just going to waste your time sitting and waiting for people to jump in. And then today we're looking over one of my hoodies that I've made, and in this pandemic era, the alteration I made to it is actually pretty nifty, and I want to be playing with it some more, so we'll talk about that in a bit. Also going to go over Paracord more today. Again, Paracord, if you don't know, it's very likely that if you have found this channel somehow you do know what Paracord is. But Paracord is a really strong, lightweight cordage, and it's easy to carry, and it's useful for many things. Things like shoelaces, if your belt fails, if you need to lash something down to your car, etc., etc. So, but a lot of people don't really know about it or don't think about string in any certain way. So knowing that one of the most useful tools to have on hand is some sort of cordage, it's been on my mind. I want to share a little bit of that with people. So I'm gonna go and check a couple things though. I'm trying to be fancy today and use a couple different options, so we are gonna see how that actually fares when I get to go test that. That's another reason to have this on YouTube, actually. First of all, is I can't do the same. I mean, I guess I could try it on the Facebook. Maybe I'll pop in there in half an hour, try it on both. Who knows? Just to change the stream key in OBS and live control room. How does stream? Today's gorgeous outside. I went for my walk, and it was really busy down at the park. In fact, Seattle is closing parks this weekend. There is no parks. There will be no parks. Well, small neighborhood parks, yes, but the major parks, no, not at all. Gasworks Park will be closed. Volunteer Park will be closed. Am I still? Oh, it's just slow to show me. Anyhow, Volunteer Park, so basically all the beaches, Golden Gardens and Alki beaches, because the mayor is worried that people are going to go out in mass and enjoy this really, really lovely weather. And based on the people I saw down at the park, just walking through, yeah, I think a good idea, because, and even then, people are going to try all day to go to those parks. Anyway, let's make one more little checkup on the Facebook. I'm moving it to Facebook. I don't know, I want YouTube to work, but nobody watches my YouTube. Not nobody. Okay, one watching. There's one watching, and I think it's me. That's fine. if you do start watching, I do want to see a comment or something so I know that someone's actually out there. But I'm gonna proceed. And this is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. Just here we go. Share link. Yeah, I was going to run through and practice setting up and all this kind of other thing, but this is the first time on YouTube's trying to work with some fancy pants. I'm gonna share this stream to Facebook. Oh, the screen cap that went with it was just bad. Really bad. So I'm just typing up a post for Facebook. I should have prepped it, but I did not. So places, boom, and then we are going off to the races here. Okay, episode 3. That's pretty good. Been streaming on Fridays. I'm going to continue streaming on Fridays, and I'm trying to do just 1 hour. Why? Because, well, I'm calling it a fashion show, and a show should end at some point. I'm still strongly considering moving to Facebook. Don't want that to be my main platform though, so that would not make sense. Let's stick with what makes sense. What makes sense is carrying Paracord. Paracord. Actually, let's do a quick internet search. See what the internet says about Paracord. There's a wiki. Parachute cord, a Wikipedia. Here we go. What is this magical material? Parachute cord, also paracord or 550 cord, when referring to type 3 paracord, is a lightweight nylon kermantle rope originally used in the suspension lines of parachutes. This cord is now used as a general-purpose utility cord. This versatile cord was used by astronauts during the 82nd Space Shuttle mission to repair the Hubble Space Telescope. Current technical standards for the manufacture of cord for use in parachutes are published by the Parachute Industry Association. The now inactive U.S. military standard MIL-C-504H require the material to be nylon. Similar styles of cord are manufactured with other materials such as polyester. And actually, on that note, paracord, as it is not the toughest, strongest, bestest twine of all time. For a lot of things, but it is affordable. It is really versatile, and it's light. You can carry it anywhere. Since it's nylon, it resists wear from the elements, not so much resisting wear from friction and mechanical wear, but the weather, it doesn't break it down unless it's sunlight and salt water and things all the time, constantly. So it's good for outdoor projects and camping. And yeah, last week I showed the bits and bobs of it. I'm going to do that again really quick, just because who knows who's watching this right now. I sure don't, because I'm not looking at my live dashboard. Which now I am, and there's not really much going on. So, parachute cord, Wikipedia. I love these little articles. People are, and that's another thing too about paracord itself, so do some more showing of it so I can make sure people understand what it looks like. So here's a neon version. Okay, it's a pretty thick board, and then I will demonstrate one more time what this is all about. So the strands, well, actually, let's talk about types. U.S. military issue paracord was purchased with reference to a technical standard MIL. Oh, I said this one already. There's 6 types, apparently. 6 types. So type 1 is minimum strength, needs to be able to hold 95 pounds, 43 kilograms. And 1A, 100 pounds / 45 kilograms. Type 2 is 400 pounds, 180 kilograms. Type 2A, it's interesting that they did it that way. Go to 25 pounds, or 102 kilograms. Type 3, 550 pounds, aka 550, or 250 kilograms. And then type 4, which is 750 pounds, also 340 kilograms. So this cord here is meant to hold 550 pounds at its minimum strength. Keep in mind that strength is also a static strength. This is not made to rappel from and drop 550 pounds at one time. We're talking about a static load, but you're not going to find yourself using it that way excessively and extremely, because there's, like I said, there's better cordages for other tasks. And I mean, there's better materials. Spectra, for example. Spectra is one of my favorite cordage materials. It's hard as all get out to work with because it dulls everything that you try to use to cut it. I mean, having a hot knife is really just the way with cordage. So actually, let's talk about that too. When I work with paracord, I like to keep around 2 main things. Those things are shears and a lighter. Because this cord is plastic and it is ropes, right? You always want to make sure that if you have cut it, take a look at the core again. If you already know this stuff, you know, I appreciate you taking a look anyway. Just because, yeah, maybe you can remind you to help somebody else learn it. So what I've done here is I've cut off the end, I've pulled the threads from in the sheath, and you can see there are multiple threads, 2, 4, 6, this one has 7 cores, and each one of these cores can also be unwound further into smaller threads. Okay, so again, part of the utility of this cordage is that it is perfectly usable the way it is. If you need something less, need some thread for sewing and mending, then you have that. You have that times 7 at least, more if you want the smaller pieces. So say I do not want to do that. I do not want to do that, and I do want to work with this cord, and I don't want it to unravel on me. Well, by golly, what I'm going to have to do is, first of all, because this is a sheath, I'm going to push that forward a bit. I'm going to snip off the extras because I was yanking on it. I'm going to leave a little bit of that extra because I want you to be able to see what happens here and now. Even though this is a really important step when working with paracord, be aware, because you're basically going to make plastic lava for a moment. So just be really aware of where that thing flings. You don't want to just set it down right away because it's melted plastic. It's going to just stick to whatever it has just touched. So I know this camera doesn't focus so well, but I'm gonna do one of those. You also want to be able to be in an environment that has some ventilation when you do this. The smell, while nostalgic for me, is not a very good smell. It is burning plastic. The worst thing I could do right now would be to touch the camera with this. So you can see it's kind of mushroomed over, and once it is cooler, it will be just a hard end, just like the cool end. Okay, and this lets me work with the cordage and finish off projects without having cords flying everywhere, without things getting really unwound. Okay, so one of the first things I like to do is, or I like to show people and talk about, is how to store the cordage as well, because it's one thing to be able to make cool stuff with it. It's a whole other thing to have a bunch of it and then just have it just all over the place, especially if you don't intend to get really involved. I was saying earlier about paracord communities and projects. I'm just going to show like really basic stuff. Why? Because it's not my focus. It's just something I use all the time. And there are so many great places to learn how to work with paracord just here on YouTube. Tying it all together. I watched Tying It All Together for, let's see if I can kind of see what I'm up to. For years, putting out little tutorials, and I guess he's got some books now. he's just the first one that came to mind, and one of the people I've seen the most when I've been watching through this. Been watching through building these skills over the years and learning new cool ways to go about it. Back of the background. I get my paracord mostly from the Army Navy surplus or the internet. There's plenty of places to buy these things on the internet, but I do have to recommend Paracord Planet. Why? Because it's called Paracord Planet, so, and it really is. Like, it just has all kinds of stuff. I got buckles there. I have a buckle which I should have completely pulled out to show you, which I probably will end up doing that in a moment here. That actually has a handcuff inside the actual buckle, and it's a handy little thing to keep around. Keep some cord, keep a little key. So what I'm doing right here is a ripcord sinnet. Sinnets are just gonna be the knots are basically chains. And so once I get a little further down, I'm going to demonstrate why this, and using this sinnet and similar sinnets over the traditional macrame style square knots that you see mostly in the survival bracelets. Okay, these are the ones I'm working with. This one right here, but this is just it's the same thing, a little bit more, and you'll see why this is better than having one of those quote-unquote survival bracelets that just takes forever to unwind and isn't as quick to make either by a long shot. That said, the ones are very different. If you're getting a Paracord survival bracelet, see what it's made of, because you shouldn't really pay. Yeah, I think everyone can do this, even though knots can be confusing, but it's worth sitting down to work with simple ones like this. But some of them do come with extra tools in them, like fire starters and other like tinder and just stuff like that inside. So that would be a more worthwhile purchase if you didn't want to make your own things. Is one that actually has more elements, but just cord by itself, knotted up, this is superior. And I wish I had I think I do have. I should have prepared a version of the standard version, because when I say standard, it doesn't mean that you know what I mean. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Take a look at that. Cord bracelet. Oh yeah, and here they are, right up front. Show this to you. I'll take a look at the difference, and then I'll try to at least quickly show how to start this. This is kind of nice, actually, a nice live test run, just as I am realizing there's other things that I could have set up that I just didn't. Yep. Okay. Oh, let's try this. Hey, there it is. All right. So this is the one I was talking about. Is if we go to images here, you can see this is a good example. This is pretty straightforward. It's not capturing my mouse since I just chose window capture, but you can see how there's some center lines of cordage, and then it kind of weaves out and around. And it is a significant amount. Don't get me wrong. Like, this definitely contains a lot of cord, but the problem with the building of it is that it is time consuming, even though it looks very cool. That's even more time consuming to undo it. So this buckle here, I can see that it is a whistle. You can see that little bump on the top coming out of the buckle in the photo to the far right. And it probably has a couple other tools in it, and likely, since that is so thick, there is likely some other stuff in there. Here we have one with a pretty cool buckle. Very nautical, very neat. I mean, they do look cool. It is good and fashionable, and this is the Apoc fashion show after all. So, nothing wrong with having some really nice knot work to be using as decoration. But as for me, we know that purpose and the goal is to always have something be a little more useful if possible, just in case. Just in case. Bringing back fancy pants stuff. Okay, so with that, let's go back to this sinnet, which is, again, Ripcord sinnet. There's plenty of names, but you see I have just sat here and done that. And then when I want to use this, or rather what I would do to finish it, I would make some sort of knot, whether pretty or not pretty. And then because I started with the loop, I then can make my bracelet or my necklace, or to hang off my zipper on my backpack. I like to keep them around my wrist personally, or somewhere on a bag. But to undo it, all you do here is you pull and it is completely undone. So how the heck does that happen? Well, again, tying it all together. That is his YouTube account. In fact, I haven't followed for so long that I have no idea how, if he's been putting out recent. I would be really surprised to hear he's done being a Paracord genius, but maybe. So this is where I saw this way the first time. If you want an actual directed tutorial on this, that might be where you want to go. However, I'm here now, and so this is what we're going to do. Is just to kind of show the start. You're gonna have to figure out your own lengths depending on what you want to do with it. So I match up the ends, and then find the center, and then at the center, I'm going to twist it. Now I have a little twist, like I could have a infinity symbol. Yes, I'm gonna keep twisting it a little bit more. So a little double twisted there. I'm going to take the top one around. It doesn't actually matter. You just have to take one and bring it through. So you see I have a slip knot now. It's moved around. Okay, this is where we're going to start. Now, even though I have my slip knot, keep in mind this is the end. This is the loop end of the project, not the knotted end. So if I intend to actually have a knot, I have to make sure to clear some space here. So I'm going to hold on to that while I proceed to the next steps. Let's go through the start one more time. No, it's not the greatest example, but it's hopefully it's better than nothing. Okay. So once more, grab the ends because I do want to find the very center. Those are matched up. So those are matched up. Okay, my loop, and then from here, twist one more round, taking this one over, through, and then starting to tighten down. Now remember, this is the end, so I do want this end loop here. So you know which one is right, where you have the top one. If you pull one of the long ones, it just changes size, okay? You know that's correct, and that's one you want to be working with. If you pull the other one and that's not happening, or it's getting into the knot there, how you see it's sunk through, that's our standing end, okay? In the future, maybe I'll do a better job with doing this. So at this point, I now have one loop that I can make smaller by just pulling on the thing, and one cordage coming up. All I'm going to do is make loops into loops now at this point. So I pull this loop through. Now that I can tighten that loop down, the cord I just put through stops it from pulling out. I now have another loop that on the other side I can adjust. And so this one goes back through. Notice I leave a lot of space on those loops because I want to have enough space. Okay, so we're going to build this up again and just keep kind of going through. Again, if you want a really more comprehensive and easy to follow, like I know that there's probably some lagging here. I'm trying the YouTube stream for the first time, so I'm not sure the quality that's happening. In fact, I don't even know if the audio is any good because unlike when I was doing it on Facebook, I can't see any of the comments / not very many people are watching, which is totally fine. It is what it is. Facebook. I might honestly just pop over there. No, I want this to be the platform. Seriously, the screen cap that went onto the Facebook post was ridiculous. Okay, so let's get back to our ripcord sinnet. Right, so I like to keep things on either side, so I just will hold it like this instead of doing it down here. I like to have it in front. Plus, it's actually easier to show you doing it the way. So loop, put a bite through. A bite is when you have a little small loop of rope or line, and that's really it. You just do this for however long you want your stash to be. A lot of times what I'll do with this, if I'm going to do it as a bracelet, I don't think so much about how much cordage I have. I just do it so it can fit my wrist. But a lot of times it's just I want a certain amount just being around. And so I'll start with the length of that and then decide based on how much I want to keep, which one of these I'm going to do. Because there is a second one I'm not going to show. I think that was enough of a train wreck trying to show on live stream how to do this knot one. That's really not my forte. And I'm gonna undo this at the end. That's another thing too, is it starts to build up in a very regular way, and so it's pretty quick to see when you've made a mistake. It's really easy to undo that mistake. That is a nice thing, especially if you're a beginner at doing knot work and macrame and lines, because it can get really frustrating to notice a long time down the way, much like knitting, where you have to just go through. Yeah, I now have my sinnet, be where my knot would go, and this is where I would put my knot if I was going to knot this off. And that's how I get things like this one. Show a couple. For me, it's also just a pretty meditative task. I'm a big fan of methodical, tedious things. So I like these ones because they're more narrow. By the way, anytime you take the guts out of the paracord, of course, this will be a lot more thin. So if it's more stylistic, you're not looking so much for utility. Take the cores out, and then you'll have something more sleek. Now, a lot of people don't like the chunky look, but just know if you do that, then you've just lost a ton of the strength and ability of your cordage. Now, again, from tying it all together, as far as where I saw it first, is this version of it. This is the same thing, only instead of going through each loop just once every time, there's an extra knot. Let's see if I can. It's just so satisfying. So for that one, instead of just taking this and putting it right through and then cinching this down and carrying on that way, what I do first is I just put a loop in this one first. So I do a loop in the one side. You also want to make sure that when you're doing any sort of cord, you learn it over time, is trying to keep the same tension the whole time. It could be really loose, it could be really tight, but switching between loose and tight is where things start to get wonky. You see it now. I've made on this one that's going to go through, I just made an extra little knot first, which is a slip knot, okay, because I need it to be able to slip so I can put the other side back through, and then it goes in. Same thing on this. Make a new, it's going to show you haphazardly, and probably aren't seeing it, and I'm not doing it. Here, let me just flip this around. How about I just use the side that I'm strongest at? Flip it around. What about that? Okay, so I have another new slip knot, and now it goes through. So, really fun little way to keep cool cordage around all the time. Now, I'm going to do one quick, just like basic utility storage, because that's it's still a lot more work than just, grinding it up and throwing it in a drawer, which is why things get really messy when cord and thread is involved. So my favorite way, and I try to teach this to kids during a ninja camp. I was teaching them how to do not work and just like really basic stuff. But they didn't care until I told them that this is a great way to keep your headphones from getting all tangled and knotted. And as soon as I said that, they were all eyes and ears. A lot of you probably already do this. I'm just gonna take my cord. I'm not gonna do this with the cord more than like a couple arm lengths of mine. Well, there's a lot of cord. I'm gonna do another tactic or wind it around something. Employ a needle. I talked about needles last week. These are really, really handy, especially if you want to get into or store. Like, this is a fine storage method itself. Not sure exactly how much I have on here, but it's pretty significant. And then, just like I was showing last week, when you're wrapping things, like the bat handle in the background here, this is a great way to control that. But a lot of times you don't need to have this much around all the time. Maybe in a tool bag or in the car, in the back section, or somewhere in a car kit where you're not having to carry it around. But if it's something that you want, like your backpack or whatever little place you want to keep it, sometimes having that is way too much. So this is really for that. I'm gonna pinch it in my middle finger and my thumb, extend my pointer finger, and then I'm going to wrap down under my thumb and then back around. So I'm coming toward myself, down, away from myself, toward myself, up, away from myself, down, toward myself. It's here. And I still want a little tail. What I'm going to do is take and make one of my favorite things, more loops or bites. I'm going to take that loop, put it here, and then I'm going to draw the final tail around the other side, sink it. Good balls. But that's okay. I'm learning. Show you one without that. So let's say it was the first one. Either way, I do it 2 or 3 times. So I have my loop. Right now it's on the front side. It could be on the back side, but whatever side it's on, the tail goes through from the other direction. My loop is on the front. I bring the tail up from behind, through, and now I have pretty handy little bundle that it still isn't beautiful, but it's not going to get tangled and take forever to use or to utilize. It's probably enough paracord for today. Again, I'm not even that much of a paracord fanatic. I just know its use, and I would never want to really go anywhere without at least a little bit of paracord because it comes in so handy. Limitations, again, let's go. We should always recognize limitations. It is plastic, so it's nylon, so it's not going to withstand heat very well, and friction, not at all. Like, it just melts and falls apart. So there's a classic way to use cordage and things to friction saw zip ties apart, especially for restraint. And I've actually used it just if I don't have something to snip. I just take cordage and stick it around. I should demo that maybe next time. But it won't last that long doing those sorts of tasks. Something like Kevlar is a lot more resilient for continuing to be able to be used as friction saw. Doesn't take dynamic load, not meant to catch things that are falling fast. And also it does stretch over time. So if there's something that you need, an exact length, and you need, especially if it's under tension and you don't want that thing to slowly over time lengthen or sag, paracord is not. But for those few limitations, and again, if you're just choosing the right tool for the job, we talk about hardware here, Citizen operating system. Your hardware is things not just like your body and your digits, it's also your tools that you're choosing to use. If you try the wrong hardware for a certain task, of course it's not so well. Do a quick chat check. Hey, Elizabeth jumped in. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks for helping me test the chat feature because no one had looked at it before. You're probably not watching anymore. Yes. All right. I'm going to show the. Sorry, I can't get over it. The screenshot. Let's see if I can show you this amazing screenshot of the the post I made on the Facebook. Wow, she said to do it tactical nerd friends, but you don't have to be a tactical nerd. They would watch this cool stuff. Okay, let's see if I can get this photo up in this thing. It's so funny. And then we'll do the hoodie, and then I will sign off today because there's something else. Okay, yep, I got it. Let's take a look at this amazing image of the. I'm gonna get real meta real quick. Learning how to move my. Oh, there we go. Voila! Look at that. Would you look at that? That's pretty good. Pretty great. Can I zoom in? Go. Nope, that didn't work at all. Anyway, that's shit. Get rid of that. Oh, hello. I did the wrong size. No wonder that. I resized the wrong screen. Wait, oh, you can't see that though. Ah, I'm just talking to you over a picture of my face and my weird looking expression. Okay, well, I completely messed up the size of my screen. Get upset. Let's go to this one instead. Goodbye. Dun 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 dun. Wow. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the hoodie, and then I'm going to sign off and call it a good try for the day. Okay, so what I have here is my. Oh, I don't even have a name for this hoodie. Probably should. But it is a hoodie that I found on the street, and it was ripped and it was messed up. So I picked it up, took it home, washed it, of course, like all my other hoodies, pillaged pieces to create this. Now this is a half hoodie, and most of my little equipment was made as a bicyclist, bombing down the streets. In fact, let's break out the. Okay, so when I found this, it was completely ripped down the edge here. That's why it's sewn in this way. It wasn't just some cool, nifty thing I thought of on purpose. Oops, I forgot the face. Hang on, hang on. Figuring this out. Alright, that should. Try this again. Two streams. Ah. Okay, so that's like this. It wasn't stylistic on purpose. It just was. Likewise, this sort of bleached section down here was also part of the found hoodie. So I didn't do anything that way as far as aesthetically make those things happen. Although I did use this color when I decided which colors I would also use as on. So it is halfway, which for me was always the case. I would get my torso, but I also want other, just like my other hoodies, or at least a couple of them. There is the hood pocket feature, aka you just take the hood the way it is,